Hello pre-calculus students. We're going to talk today about solving trig equations. Okay, so we're going to talk about solving trig equations, and trig equations are basically solved just like regular algebraic equations. Okay, so if I had 3x plus 1 equals 5, I could solve this for x. I would get x equals something, right? Well, trig equations are going to be done exactly the same way. My goal is to get a trig function by itself and then a ratio on the other side. So for instance, if I had sine of theta equals 1/2, I should be able to find what my theta is that makes this statement true. Alright, so actually let's just go ahead and start with this example. What values of theta would make sine of theta equal to 1/2? Okay, so if I look at my unit circle here, I know that the two angles that I am interested in would be these two angles. They would form these triangles. I know that the y value at each of these points on the unit circle would be 1/2. Okay, and that point, that angle then would be pi over 6, and that angle would be 5 pi over 6. So those are obviously my two answers. Okay, there's two places where sine of theta is 1/2. But that's assuming that I'm only looking at going from 0 all the way to 2 pi. If I go more than 2 pi, what would be my answer? Well, I would have to add 2 pi to that. Right? I would come back and hit this. If I rotated one more time, I would come back and I would add another 2 pi, and so I would just keep adding plus 2 pi. So I can change this to get a general answer. Every time this point is touched, I can create a general formula for that, and that would be pi over 6 plus 2 pi times k. Okay, where k is an element of a positive integer. Because I could also go this way, and I would get -1, -2, and so on. Okay. Same thing with this point. This point would also be could also be generalized. Because I could go 5 pi over 6 and then go all the way around to 2 pi, add 2 pi plus 5 pi over 6, and also get another general, that point would keep repeating. So these two answers would be my general solutions to this equation. Okay, but most of the time I don't want to be finding general formulas. So what I'll be doing is I'll be finding the values of theta within a certain range, a certain restricted domain, sorry. And the most common restricted domain that we'll be talking about is the one that makes most sense. We'll be looking at 0 to 2 pi. Notice that this is open and this is closed. So if I were to write it in interval notation, that would be 0 to 2 pi. Okay? So this is the domain that we'll be following for most problems, but sometimes you might see some other types of restricted domains. Okay, so restrict domain to this. Usually, all right, usually, not always. All right.